this idea that you need to find that one big reason for everything you do. It's almost like there's this massive pressure on us to find our one true and only purpose, the ultimate answer. What is your purpose in life? What is that big why that motivates you? Why, right? And the messaging that we get from society, from coaches, from the personal development world is that once you find that why, it's like a beacon shines through the hall. But it's almost talked about like as if it's like a treasure hunt. As if there is this one singular, unchanging why that you're supposed to uncover.
Your journey to the divine is an intimate exploration of self, where you are both the seeker and the source of enlightenment. I, Jessica Paschke, invite you to break free from the ordinary, to reforge your spiritual path with courage, curiosity, and audacity. Unleash the power of your spiritual connection, stepping into a purpose-driven life free of have-tos and shoulds. Join me on this profound exploration of rediscovery, where you'll not only redefine your own spiritual practice, but also inspire a collective awakening. Welcome to Reclaiming Our Spirit.
Hello. Welcome back to Reclaiming Our Spirit, where we break free from the ordinary to step into the life that we're truly meant to co-create. If we are just meeting for the first time, I'm Jessica Paschke, your host. I'm a transformation coach and an intuitive business strategist. And today we are tackling something that can be an absolute game changer when it comes to co-creating the life that you want to live. And what I'm talking about is intention. And spoiler alert, the way most people approach them, it's actually holding them back. So let's turn it upside down and unlock the true power of intention to create a life and a business that is really in alignment with who you know yourself to be and fueled by soul. Every podcast episode, we talk about a moment of joy before we dive into the delicious stuff. And I have just landed from a 2-week business trip. And I was lucky enough to spend 4 days in London with my friend Melissa and her beautiful family. And then Melissa and I ran away together to a trip to Bulgaria. And I was sitting down, very jet lagged, while recording this episode. And I was struggling with finding just one moment of joy because there were so many to choose from over that time span. And so I decided I don't have to just pick one. I can kind of spread it out over a few episodes. So you're going to be getting a few moments of joy from my trip over the next few episodes of the season. I can't wait to share it. It was an absolutely beautiful place to visit, Bulgaria. And today's moment of joy comes from that location. It ties actually directly into our conversation about intentions. So I love it when things line up with that. While I was in Bulgaria, I finally got the chance to meet Melissa's friend, Laura Mitchell. Now, Laura Mitchell is a voice medicine practitioner, sound healer, and integrated yoga therapist. And yes, she's every bit as magical as that sounds. And Melissa's been talking about Laura forever, but our paths actually hadn't crossed until this trip. And Laura is just one of those people who has the ability to be fully present in a moment. And that is just such a gift. And she has had so many life adventures and she has so many stories. And she operates from this like heart wide open place that it's an absolute joy to be spending time with her. Plus, she has the most infectious, fantastic laugh you'll ever hear. It's great. Now, our week in Bulgaria was packed with business stuff. It was a business retreat. And while I was catching little snippets of Laura during morning yoga and over meals, we hadn't really had the chance to sit down and actually connect until I got sick. So, fun fact, I can't eat gluten. It's not a preference. It's not an intolerance. It's like my body just says, no, thank you, and then shuts down completely and like sends me to bed. And navigating Eastern Europe with a gluten situation was a little bit tricky. But there was a friend on the trip who spoke fluent Bulgarian and they were helping me manage. So it was such a blessing. However, for those of you who struggle with any kind of food, anything, you know how dicey it is to go out to eat. And one night at dinner, something must have slipped through the cracks because I got gluten. And that night and the next day, I was absolutely down for the count. My body was not pleased. And I had to step back from the retreat for a full day just to meet myself where I was at. And I ended up spending most of the day in bed. Now, you're probably wondering, how in the world is this a moment of joy? But it's coming. You just have to trust me. Hang in there. So that's where intention comes into it. So one of my core intentions in life is to hold space for joy for myself and for other people, no matter what the circumstances are. And I had a choice in that moment. I could have gotten really upset and laid in bed, angry about missing out on exploring the Rose Valley of Bulgaria, or I could meet the moment where it was at and make room for the possibility that something beautiful might still happen, even though I wasn't really able to go on the planned excursion that I'd been looking forward to. So, of course, I chose to make room. And that is when Laura swept into the picture. So while everyone was off on their field trip and literally out there smelling the roses, I found myself at the retreat house alone. And I was feeling much better, but I was still really bummed that I wasn't quite up for that kind of an adventure. And it turned out that Laura had stayed behind as well. And so we ended up spending the late afternoon on the deck. And this deck overlooked the Balkan Mountains. They were gorgeous. Now, mountains are after my heart, y'all. After living in Alaska, I hadn't really been around like proper mountains in a while. And so it was just sitting out there and staring at the dips and the shadows and the way the light played on them and the color changing. It was amazing. And then having Laura by my side, and I haven't laughed that hard in a really long time. And we talked about everything, especially our experiences on the stage, because she was an opera singer before. I was a musical theater actor. And so we got to exchange a lot of really fun stories and really got to know each other in a way that we hadn't had a chance to yet. And the hours flew by and the sky started to shift from these beautiful oranges and reds to blues and purples. And that is when Laura offered to run to the corner shop to grab some things for a salad and a bottle of wine because the rest of the crew was out doing their thing with roses and going out to dinner. So we made dinner together, this to die for local veggie, cucumber, tomato, some kind of local cheese. It was not feta. I don't know what it was, but it was delicious. And I really wish I could get that cheese here in the States. But we pulled together this salad and then we sat under the stars with the mountains surrounding us. And it was just one of those moments in life that you could never plan, right? It was completely unexpected. And its magic was in like how everything just fell into place naturally. And none of it would have happened if I hadn't practiced my intention of making space for joy. Because no matter what was happening around me, I could have totally been complaining and angry and huffing and locked myself in my room. But I chose to make space for the possibility that something really wonderful would happen, and it did. So thank you, Laura, for relaxing with me and co-creating a really amazing, unexpected moment of joy. I cannot tell you how special it was. I will treasure it forever. And it 100% was due in part to having a really great intention for joy. And so on that note, let's jump into today's conversation. And let's start by talking about finding your why. And I say that in quotes, finding your why. Maybe you've been told that finding your why is the key to manifesting what you want in life or business. And maybe you've even tried it. Maybe you've written it down and made vision boards and set affirmations every morning based on it. And you followed all the steps of finding your why, thinking, this is it. This is what it's going to keep me on track. I just need to find my why and laser focus on it and everything will flow just like that. And yet, no matter how hard you try, it still feels like you're spinning your wheels. You're doing all the things, you're setting all the goals, you're hitting all the milestones, you're working really, really hard all hours of the day, but it's still not working. And in fact, I will take it so far as to say that the more you chase your big why that they talk about, the more it eludes you, like that goalpost that just keeps getting further and further away. And if this is you, if you're like, yes, I've been finding my why is it not working out? If this hits home for you, if this resonates, then I really need you to hear this next part. This is so important. You are not the only one. I cannot tell you how many clients, how many people I've met in classes that I'm either teaching or groups that I'm participating in are experiencing the exact same thing. Everyone is working so hard, y'all, setting all those goals, doing all those things, because we've been told by coaches and books and teachers that this is what we need to do. We need to find our why. But somehow, no matter how much energy we put in, no matter how hard we try, it still doesn't feel right. Something is still missing. And it's exhausting and it's overwhelming. And the most interesting thing is, and I think this is what actually blew my mind a bit when I finally saw the pattern, like when I realized, oh, it's not just me. Everyone is thinking the same thing. I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking. I'm the problem. It's me. It's me. But here's the deal. Y'all, you aren't the problem. You are not the problem. It is not you. It is not you, because you are not doing anything wrong, even though you might think you're doing it wrong or you aren't trying hard enough. In fact, you're probably doing exactly what you've been taught to do. And that's actually where things all get tangled up. Because let's be honest, how many times have you heard you just need to find your why? You just need to find your why. You just need to find your why. And I 100% will admit that I've been guilty of saying this. You can go back on probably the seasons of this podcast and various lives and guest expert talks I've given. And I have probably said those words. You just need to find your why. What is your why? And at its essence, it's not wrong per se, but I think it's so much more nuanced than that. And the conversation happening around the find your why is that once you figure that one big thing out, that reason, everything will click and fall into place. But it's this advice, this preconceived notion that's actually probably a lot of the problem. And this idea of finding your why, of what happens when we find our why. We find our why and our expectations of what will happen. And this idea is everywhere. It's everywhere. I guarantee you've come across it in multiple spaces. This idea that you need to find that one big reason for everything you do. It's almost like there's this massive pressure on us to find our one true and only purpose, the ultimate answer. What is your purpose in life? What is that big why that motivates you? Why, right? And the messaging that we get from society, from coaches, from the personal development world is that once you find that why, it's like a beacon shines through the hall. But it's almost talked about like as if it's like a treasure hunt, as if there is this one singular, unchanging why that you're supposed to uncover. And if we can just find that magical answer, everything is going to work. But here's the deal, y'all. Your why, there isn't just one. Your why isn't static. It is not this one single rigid thing that you uncover once and that's it. You're done. You're good. You found your why. Life is yours. Thrive. It's not how it works. It's actually very fluid and it's ever evolving. And that is a really good thing because in order to grow, we need things like our why to evolve. And your why will change as you grow. As you encounter new experiences, as your priorities shift, the why you had at 25 may not be the same why you have at 45. And that's okay. Both versions of your why, they're totally valid and they deserve attention. I mean, for real, let's think about it. At 25, your why might have been focused on like maybe it was career success or independence or building something of your own. But then as you grow and you age and you live life and you hit 45, 55, 65, your why will have shifted maybe to something else. Maybe it was to family or finding personal fulfillment or creating a legacy. And it doesn't mean that you were wrong at 25. It just means your why evolved as you evolved. And the big why approach then becomes super problematic because if we shift into chasing the idea of this big why without thinking, right, it's going to evolve, just thinking, we've discovered it when we're in our 20s, right? then this pursuit of that big why focuses us through all of those years to focus singularly on one aspect of our life. And we all know life is way more complex than that. We're human. We have different layers, different needs. Our desires change over time. And when you're trying to align everything to this one big reason, this one big why, it can start to feel really constricting and limiting. And we can become exhausted and burnt out. And the pursuit of that one thing, that one why, will make us feel successful or maybe even fulfilled, hopefully, but it might also prevent us from seeing the bigger picture. And this is where, like I said, things get tangled for people. It's that they're chasing that original why that used to light them up. But then somewhere along the way, it stopped reflecting who they really are or what they really need. Imagine someone whose why has always been about building a successful business, right? We're talking a lot about soul-fueled businesses on the podcast this season. And we're going to be talking to a lot of soul-fueled entrepreneurs. So let's say someone's big why is, I want a successful business. And they set all their goals and all their energy into creating that success. But in the process, they start to feel a little unfulfilled. Maybe they're ignoring other important parts of their life, like relationship, personal happiness, their own well-being, or even because life does what life wants to do and it lifes, throwing us curveball after curveball, making it almost impossible to continue to chase the old why. We simply can't even do it. We can't even operate from our old why the way we always have. Then we've got all of these people standing here left wondering, well, like, now what do I do? I discovered my why. I found my why. Now I can't do my why, or my why doesn't even feel good anymore. And it really starts to throw people into a tailspin, pretty epic one. And that's the danger of looking at this as a singular why. It doesn't leave any room for shifts in perspective or growth or life or challenges. You're just locked into a version of yourself that might no longer be relevant one day. Okay. And this connects directly into this, right? I want to say this again because this is important, of treating our why like, oh, we find it at this one time. It's a one-time event, a final destination that we're just supposed to arrive at and just stay there. And when we look at it like that, we eliminate the idea that life is an ongoing journey, something that is constantly changing. And if we cling too tight to simply one thing, one why, we can end up feeling stuck. Y'all, our circumstances, they will change. We will grow. We will experience new things. And suddenly that old why we once held on to will no longer fit. And some people will cling to it. They will cling to that why with all of their might because that is what we have been told we are supposed to do. But all that does is lead to frustration and confusion and self-judgment. And then we're back to what I said before. What's wrong with me? Why I'm not feeling connected to my why? Why isn't this working anymore? And the truth is nothing is wrong with you. Your why simply needs to evolve. So how do we reclaim the power of why in our lives in a way that actually works and supports us? And that's where intentions come in. So instead of thinking of your why as something that you have to find once and you hold on to forever, if you shift it into the idea of your intention or intentions, like specifically intentions, you shift into this idea that intentions are something that you get to choose. Okay, so stick with me here. Intentions are dynamic and they're an ever-evolving part of your life. So with intentions, right, what we intend, we're not stuck with that first intention that we come up with. We would never think of that, right? When we sit down to work or we sit down to take some time off or go out to the beach or go over, we have different intentions. I think we can all agree with that. We have different intentions for many things in our life. And when you think of like, okay, replacing that finding your why with this idea of intentions, then you get to reassess and reevaluate and choose again based on where you are right now, based on your growth, based on your unique journey. And that means that your intentions are going to reflect who you are today, not who you were 5 or 10 years ago, but who you are today. And the most important thing is they're going to feel aligned with where you want to go moving forward. Intentions gives you the freedom to rewrite them as many times as you need to, because we're not telling these stories around intentions like we are when it comes to finding our why. And when we give ourselves the space and the permission to change our mind, that's when the magic happens. That's when we stop chasing things that are external. That's when we start to create things that are deeply personal, things that grow and shift alongside us, things that come from a soul place, an experience place, a place of wisdom. And it moves you from this idea of why being something you can figure out in 30 seconds or something you discover and you're done. And it takes that concept, which, like I said, in and of itself isn't bad, but it roots it in something much deeper and something much more tangible that you can actually work with. The beauty of intentions are that they come from within. They come from this soul place. And their response to all of your lived experiences, from all of that wisdom you've gathered. And intentions actually work in real life. Sometimes our big whys don't. So it does not matter how many goals you set and how much you plan and how hard you work and how many milestones you hit. If you don't have a clear idea of what your intentions are for everything you do in both your life and your business, you're going to end up feeling like you're walking a path designed for someone else. You are going to constantly be looking for external validation, whether it's through financial success, career achievement, what other people think of you. You are going to chase things that don't resonate with you. You are going to hold on too tight to the things that need to be released. And even if you feel super excited and motivated about the things at the start of your big why, you most likely won't have the energy or the ability to finish them or even bring them to life fully in the way that they need to be. And that's why that big find my why search leads us right back to that question we posed before. What's wrong with me? I must be the problem. That is where that thought comes from. And that little thought is so insidious, y'all. It starts to eat away at your confidence and your ability to show up in the world. And it might even start with like aspects of your work or your projects. But when those things don't quite come together, then that problem, I'm the problem energy, starts to spread to other parts of your life, your relationships, your ability to create joy in life. And then you start to show up in ways that you may not even recognize, kind of like that out of body experience where you're standing outside of your body and you're looking at you and thinking, gosh, this is someone else's life. Like, how in the world did I get here? And it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to do that. We can ditch those crappy feelings of being stuck and burnt out and overwhelmed and confused. And a huge part of the how you do that is through intentions. But intentions are really broad. They could be the next big find your why. So I want to talk about 3 things that we can kind of anchor into that sort of come into play when you're looking at creating intentions to help it avoid the big why fate. We don't want intentions to end up in the big why category. And we want those intentions to work in real life. So there are 3 things that sort of come into play. 1, in order to create an intention that really works, you have to confidently claim your desires. 2, you have to own your impact. And 3, you have to become super fabulous at the practice of intentionality. So let's break that down. Let's talk about confidently claiming your desires first. So there's a lot of talk around intentions, focusing on what like you should want based on societal standards, right? Success, money, recognition, external validation. But all of those things, and they do have value. I'm not saying that they don't. All of those things aren't actually your real intentions. They're more like what can happen when you tap into the power of intentions. So what happens if we say like, okay, yes, I want those things. And I also want to feel fulfilled. And I want my life and work to have meaning. And I want to feel freaking good while I do it. That's where claiming your desires come into play. Okay. That's that magic spot. We're going to take those things that we would really like to have in our life and take those ways that we really want to feel while doing those things. And that's what we call claiming your desire. Okay. So claiming your desires is about going within, tuning out that external noise, all those stories you've told or have been told, and getting really crystal clear on what you truly want. Not what others expect from you, not what society says you should do, but what you want. So, really claiming your desires is about embracing your desires without guilt or hesitation. It's about knowing that you're worthy of having them. And when you come at it from this angle, this perspective, then you step into your own power. And that energy, that's what fuels everything. That's when intentions are like, whoosh, they come to life. If you think of intentions like a neon sign, that's when it starts to flicker and really take like hold. You can start to see the potential in them. And then we've got this second piece that kind of slides into place. This is this idea of owning your impact. Every single one of us makes an impact, whether we realize it or not. All those choices we make or don't make, all the things we say, the actions we take or don't take, they all affect our ability to make an impact on the direction our lives take. And at the end of the day, we are responsible for who we become. And yes, okay, external circumstances and other people do affect us 100%, but it's how we respond to those things that speaks to the impact that they actually have on our lives. And also, when I talk about owning your impact, I'm not just speaking about how the things affect each of us personally, like our own personal lives. I'm also speaking to this idea that each of us needs to recognize that our actions will have a ripple effect, that no matter what we think, what we do, what we say, it will affect other human beings and the world around us. So to make the greatest impact for ourselves and for others, we must, non-negotiable, must have crystal clear intentions in place. And those intentions have to be rooted in something more than just making a shit ton of money or being uber successful. Because if you have vague external intentions, it's a slippery slope, y'all. Could you end up where you want to be and feel fulfilled? Sure. Yeah. 100%. Okay. It's possible, but it's kind of like roulette and the odds aren't really in your favor. And for me, just personally, I like to navigate things a little bit better than just leaving it up to chance. So when it comes to owning your impact, it's really about stepping into your role as a leader in your own life. And then when you own your impact and you lead with intention, when those things combine, right? You claim your desire, you own your impact, you're really letting those intentions lead you. That's when lasting change happens. That's when that lasting change that you want to see happens. And then there's the practice of intentionality. And I think this is the hardest one. Claiming your desires, it can dig up a lot of dirt. Owning your impact, it can feel a little overwhelming, but practicing intentionality, it's like that final piece of the intention puzzle. And it's the key. This is the thing that makes the light really turn on and like shine out for all to see, because intentionality isn't something you set and forget, y'all. It's a daily practice. It's a daily practice and it takes work. And it's about aligning your thoughts, your energy, your actions, all of it up with your intentions so that everything you do is in service of this bigger purpose, this bigger way of moving through the world. And when you practice intentionality, that's where you get to create a life that feels authentic and aligned every step of the way. And you don't have to be perfect. You can really suck some days at practicing intentionality, as long as you sort of pick yourself up and dust yourself off and try again the next day. It's not about being perfect, because remember, y'all, intentions aren't goals. They aren't tasks. They aren't linked to achievement or productivity. This practice that I'm talking about is actually coming from within. It's coming from your life experiences, your wisdom, your soul, your mission. Intentions are all of the things that are going to help you get up in the morning and carry you through some of the most challenging times of your life. And that's where that practice comes in, is reminding yourself, yes, I can choose this. I have the ability to choose this. When you live a life of intention, when you make it a practice, that's when everything changes. And it's not magic, and it is not a superpower. And it's not about getting the right planner or following a special formula. It's just simply a practice, a choice that you make every day in everything you do, growing from this place of who you know yourself to be, just you answering the call from within. And that's the beauty of it all. claiming your desires, owning your impact, practicing intentionality. There's no one right way to do this. For as many of you out there listening right now, there are that many numbers of ways to do this. But I do want to give you a few ideas to start playing with just to get the momentum rolling with this. So, in terms of claiming your desires, you can try starting a daily practice of meditation or journaling if that speaks to you, right? This isn't the only way, but where you really start to get in the habit of reflecting on like what you really, really desire, not what you've been conditioned to believe you want, but what lights you up on a soul level. And even just simply making a list of possible desires that you want, even if they seem small or weird, don't judge them. Just notice what comes up to the surface. If you want to dive into this aspect of like owning your impact, once again, making space for reflection is going to be huge. I don't care how you do it, but you have to reflect, whether it's meditating or journaling or drawing or painting or whatever it is that floats your boat. You need to spend some time reflecting on this idea that no matter what you do, your actions or non-actions have a ripple effect on your life and those around you. So if you start thinking about the impact that you're making, is this the impact that I'm intending to make? I chose this intention. Now is it going to create the impact that I intended it to create? And you think about that kind of rippling out in your life and in others' lives, it starts to give you this like 30,000 foot view. Oh, maybe my intention needs to be reworked a little bit because I don't think it's going to ripple out. I don't think it's going to get me there. Or, ooh, it's getting me somewhere, just not where I thought it would be. So start by playing with things, ideas like, okay, how does this decision affect myself? How does it affect the world around me, my family, my friends, my community? And if you aren't sure, another really great question to ask yourself is, how do I want to show up in the world? And what kind of impact do I want to leave behind? So that is owning your impact. If you want to explore the practice of intentionality, this is going to sound so boring. Make it a habit. Make it a habit or incorporate it into your daily ritual. That sounds a little more exotic, doesn't it? Ritual. But try incorporating like small daily things, either as rituals or habits to bring more intention into what you're doing, into what you're thinking, what you're saying, and the actions you're taking. And I mean, it could be as simple as just starting the day with a grounding exercise to like anchor into your intentions, or take a few moments each morning to set an intention just for the day. Y'all, intentions do not have to be forever. We talked about this. Maybe just set your intention for the day. Like today, I'm just going to be really kind to myself. I'm just going to be gentle with myself. I'm going to allow myself the space it needs so that it can thrive. And when we just set that simple intention, kind of like drawing an oracle card or a tarot card, right? For those of you who do a daily draw, that's setting an intention. You're just like calling something to the forefront of your mind, becoming aware of something, and noticing how you're moving through the day with that awareness in mind. Okay. So it can be as simple as just drawing a card as well. But what these three little things can do, they can change your life because it's shifting this conversation from finding my why one time. Woo, I did it. Hope it works. Hope it was the right choice. Hope it gets me there, to intentions, to rooting it in something that actually supports us and that brings life to our door in ways that we maybe are unexpected, but that truly light us up. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, yes, all about the intentions, and you're wondering what's next for you, you are going to love the rest of the season because my friend JJ is coming on to chat about purpose on the next episode. Cannot wait for that. She is going to blow your mind, and purpose and intentions are very closely related. And also, I'd love to get to know y'all better. So if you are sitting here thinking, yes, I want to be more intentional with my life, I want to move from like my big why into these organic, ever evolving, ever growing, intentional practice, I would love to get to know you better. And I'd love to connect, whether it's through my one-to-one purpose path coaching or my wonderful, amazing group community, the Spiritual Evolution Collective, or any of the new courses I'm going to be debuting in 2025, because there is a slew. I got on a creative kick and I will fill you in on those later. But I would love to connect and have a chat about what could work for you right now with where you're at and what your intentions are for where you want to go. And I think together we can create that lasting change by really clarifying and claiming your desires and setting clear soul-driven intentions and choosing your purpose. And before you leave, we have to get to today's question. Okay, today's question about intentions. Ponder this. What is one desire you've been afraid to claim? And if you're getting really excited about life and you have a little extra time, the follow-up question to that would be, what would it look like to pursue that desire as part of a practice of intention? What is one desire you've been afraid to claim? And what would it look like to pursue that desire as part of a practice of intention? And if you want to take this question further, book a call with me or check out the details in the show notes for any upcoming programs that will support you on this. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Reclaiming Our Spirit. Remember, it's not about finding your why. It's about choosing to make space for the possibility of your intentions. And that choice can change everything.
Thank you for listening to Reclaiming Our Spirit. To find out how I can help you reclaim your spirit, reach out to me at www.jessicapashke.com. Leave me a message and I just may share how you reclaimed your spirit in the next episode.